Hi guys, it's Dan here, and a lot of you have been asking me for a lot more tutorials and how-tos, and I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to start doing these little Dan's Corner type of things on the set that we film our tackle box segments on. But I'm just going to sit here and relax and go more in depth, stuff that I can't do on the TV show. The TV show, we only have a couple of minutes to do these segments, but here in Dan's Corners, I'll be here for a while. I'm going to answer more questions. So another part of this is that to make this work, I'm going to need your support. So Patreon is one place you can go. Other people asked about, they didn't want to open up another app like Patreon and wanted to know they could just send like a donation or support money. So you can do that through PayPal too. And we'll be putting those addresses at the end of the video and stuff. But I just want to share with you some information and some of my knowledge. And if you guys could support me in return, I would appreciate it. And it would make it easier for me to do these. I could do a lot more of them, and we could buy some new equipment and maybe get some more platforms for you too. So first one I want to talk to you about was rods and reels. People ask me often, do you have to use a conventional reel to go fishing in Southern California? Can you go with the spinning reel that they see lots of the East Coast shows, and the guys are using spinning reels for sailfish, for tuna fishing, even tarpon fishing? And my answer has always been, yeah, you can use a spinning reel. A spinning reel like this works out fine for local fishing, for calico bass, yellowtail, sand bass, and the shallow rockfish. You can use a reel like this. I like the bait runner feature when you're live bait fishing. It's really nice that the line comes off the reel with the bail closed, but it's not that big of a deal to just leave the bail open, keep the line through your finger, and then when the fish runs with the bait, just let it go, let the fish run. Then you can just close the bail and wind down and set the hook. If the only way you are comfortable casting a bait is by using a spinning reel, then by all means use a spinning reel. One of the biggest deals about catching fish on a sport boat is that you need to get your bait away from the boat. So if the only thing you can do is open up your bail and let your bait fish run, you're not going to do very well, because you really need to be able to cast your bait away from the boat so that the game fish will see your bait and chase it. That little anchovy sardine, he might have a tiny little brain, might be a small little bait fish, but he's smart enough to know that he's out there in that open water, things are going to eat him. So if you just drop your bait right next to the boat, he's going to swim right under the boat and hide, and you're never going to catch a fish. So you really got to get your bait away from the fish. And if all you know how to do is use a spinning rod to start out, then use a spinning rod. That's what I did when I first started. And as I got more confidence, I went to conventional reels. This is the newer designed conventional reels, the low profile reels. These work out really good for everything in Southern California. Even the smaller tuna, fish up to 20, 30 pounds. These reels work out fine. Probably want to use a 400 series. This smaller one, you can use like 300 series for calico bass fishing, barracuda fishing, yellowtail, works out fine. But you start getting a little bit bigger fish, go to 400 series. Bunch of different manufacturers make them, and they work out fine. I like to use the power handle instead of the two handles. I just like the one big handle. Makes it easier for me. And ideally on the 400, you would have 65-pound Spectra, and then on top of that, whatever fluorocarbon you need. If it's light line, 20, 25 pound. If it's bigger fish, 30, 40, and you can even go 50 if you needed to. But 65-pound Spectra is what I would put on there. I like using white Spectra because it's easier to see. I've tried the blues and the greens and all that, and it's just really tough to see when you're out there fishing. So that white Spectra works out really good. With this smaller size reel, this 300, I would put 50-pound Spectra, and then on top of that, put whatever fluorocarbon you need, if it's gonna be 15, 20, or 30 pound. Once you get comfortable with those, then you can start talking about the larger reels, something like this. When you start casting these, you need to have a little bit more skill, more practice. And with these reels, we're normally casting larger baits like mackerels, so it makes it a little bit easier. But to go from a spinning reel to this is pretty tough. So, you know, take gradual steps, try the smaller reels, and that will work out too. This is probably an all-around good size reel that you can use in Southern California. This would be great for white sea bass, yellowtail, the smaller tuna, that works good. And the way technology has changed recently, all the fish we used to catch on this reel, we now catch on these low profile reels. But both will work. And you need to learn how to cast these. It's going to take you some time. Go practice. Go down to your local pond or even a park and just practice with maybe a hose line clip or something light, one of those little wooden clips, or take a jig with you with no hook on it and just try practicing casting. But again, the better you get at casting, and I don't care what type of fish you're going for other than rockfish in Southern California on a sport boat or on your own boat, the better you get at casting, the more successful you're going to be at fishing. There's lots of other things that you need to learn too, like picking the right bait, make sure you have the right size hook, the right style hook, make sure you're fishing with fluorocarbon on surface fishing. There's so many little things, and we'll cover a lot of that. But right now I just want to talk to you about casting, and this is where you want to end up. But if you're just starting out fishing and you're not comfortable doing that, if all you're comfortable with today, you're going to go on a half-day trip, 3/4 day trip, is a spinning rod and reel, then use your spinning rod and reel. All right. Now that's all I wanted to kind of cover today. And I hope you like these. We'll be doing a lot more of these and talk to you, try to answer your questions. A lot of you have been sending me questions, private message on Facebook, and you ask your questions here on YouTube and on Patreon. And I'm going to try to answer more and more of your questions and do that here in these segments. All right, again, please support me and subscribe here to the YouTube channel. Support me on Patreon. If you want to support me through PayPal, you can do that. But we have a website at sport-fishing.com where we have our lures, our clothing, all that stuff for sale. So anything you can do to help support us would be appreciated. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.